Continue our conversation now with Carter Andress, the author of the new book, Victory Undone, The Defeat of al-Qaida in Iraq and Its Resurrection as ISIS. So, Carter, John McCain engages in what he would call straight talk, simply saying that this has been a failure of United States policy. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. I think that it was wishful thinking that we could leave Syria to the chaos and Iraq to the fragile state that we left it at. I mean, can you imagine what would happen after the Korean War if we'd, left South Korea in 2 years? I mean, it would never have survived. And the same situation with Iraq. But of course, the situation in Iraq, there are a lot of internal problems, Shia Sunni, but in essence, this is an external invasion. So this is a completely different ballgame than what we would have anticipated when we left Iraq in 2011 as far as the military is concerned.
And we were talking about that before the break, and Carter, you offered your kind of a checklist for things that need to happen. And at the top of that list was elimination of the Assad regime in Syria. Now, you know the complications that are at work here, because we see a lot of the groups that we believe to be affiliated with ISIS may be part and parcel of the effort to get rid of Assad. How do we determine who is likely to be a trustworthy ally if we in fact go after the elimination of Assad in Syria?
Well, that's why the Turks are the key. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have to, people are going to have to occupy Syria, similar to the way we occupied Kosovo after the war with Serbia. So, but I doubt that there's not people within the CIA and within DOD that don't understand who the players are on the ground there. I mean, our efforts in support of the Free Syrian Army on the ground there are farcical, in my opinion. And I have people very familiar with Syria, work with a lot of Lebanese in Iraq, have Syrian friends, have people on the ground, all around Syria. And there's no question that ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra, the al-Qaida affiliates there, they don't have popular support in Syria. Syria is a secular, it's very much like Iraq with a large middle class. It's not highly Islamic, not prior to this. So once we can, get on the ground and start undermining the connection between these al-Qaida affiliates and the people of Syria, it'll fall quickly.
Well, I want to bring up the other element in this geopolitical equation that you cite, and that is the involvement of Turkey. And again, as an outsider with a modicum of knowledge, I can't even begin to have your experience on the ground there, but we have spoken before to others about the concerns the Turks have for the Kurds and what is transpiring there, and their concern about the growth of power and political and military might in the hands of the Kurds. So how do you persuade Turkey to clear that hurdle, which is an age-old suspicion they've had of the Kurds?
Well, I think in essence, what the Turks are telling us is that the main enemy here, the main reason for all this to be taking place, it's rooted in the Arab Spring that came out of the democratization of Iraq, is the role of Assad in creating this cauldron of potential genocidal proportions. And once that's resolved, the Kurdish problem has been an issue since the Versailles Treaty post-World War I. I mean, they're one of the largest nations on earth without their own nation state. But yet they've achieved a level of autonomy in Iraq that is sustainable. And that has to be achieved in Turkey also, and they were coming close to that. But the essence here is we have to go out and put the main fire out, which is Assad and its secondary here of ISIS. But the real threat to us, of course, is ISIS with their terrorism ending up in Europe and coming into the United States after that.
Fair enough. Carter Andress, as you said, a lot of these problems stem back not only to the early 20th century, post-World War I, but obviously for eras, for generations. And so it is difficult to untangle the problems there, but we appreciate your insights and also the fact that you've put together this new book, authored this new book, Victory Undone, The Defeat of al-Qaida in Iraq and Its Resurrection as ISIS. Carter Andress, we thank you very much for the time. So you heard Carter there. He says the Assad regime has to go in Syria, and then you deal concurrently with ISIS. Do you agree with the author of Victory Undone? Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, hashtag America's Forum. There's also newsmaxtv.com/comment, and Facebook. You reach us at facebook.com/Newsmax. An American Forum will continue following this time out.